everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to get into the new blush and bronzer duos from Jaclyn Cosmetics. So these just recently launched on her website and also on the Ulta website. So this is what they look like. I actually bought 3 color combinations. I didn't really know which color combination to get. These retail for $36. The blushes, you get 4 grams worth of product, and the bronzer, you get 5 grams worth of product. So in total, it's 9 grams for the entire palette, which that makes it about $4 per gram. And these are made in Italy. So I felt like that was a pretty decent price for that kind of a product being made in Italy. Now these feel like a very buttery kind of baked formula. So that's the only way I can describe them, baked buttery. There are 7 color combinations ranging all the way from fair to deep, which of course I will swatch the 3 palettes that I got next to a bunch of other bronzers and blushes that I have in my collection. So I got Warm Flush and Golden Goddess. That is for light to medium skin tones. And I picked up Sunkissed and Bronze Moment. The bronzer is more of like a medium with like a neutral undertone in that color combination. And then I picked up Stay Rosy and Yummy Toffee, which that bronzer is described for medium to tan with warm undertones. And basically when you're buying these palettes, I would base my purchase on the bronzer because I do feel like all 3 of the blushes are very similar in my opinion, which we will get into the swatches and stuff, but I felt like when I applied the blushes, they did look very similar. So if you were gonna buy these, I would definitely buy them based on the bronzer and what you're looking for in the bronzer color, because I kind of feel like the blushes will be very pretty on a wide variety of skin tones, but you're gonna want to make sure that you get the bronzer in the right color for your skin tone. For reference, I will leave a list in the description box down below of popular foundations on the market and what shades I wear in those foundations, so you can kind of use that as a guide based on my favorite palette, because out of the 3 palettes, I do have a favorite palette that I feel like is best suited for me and my skin tone. So the description on these palettes: each blush and bronzer shade is hand poured in Italy using the same proprietary filling process as the accent light highlighter, giving them the same silky soft texture. Plus, this blush and bronzer duo comes complete with a built-in mirror, perfect for touch-ups. And I do like the packaging. I think the packaging is really pretty, even though it's shiny and it shows fingerprints, which bug me, but it's really beautiful. It's kind of sitting down inside this little case, and I really like that. I really like how the lid kind of goes down, and it's just a really well done, well packaged item. And I like how it has this little J right here. Just really beautiful, very well done. And yes, the mirror is full size, which I appreciate. So in the holiday of 2019, she launched the highlighter palette, which I actually really like this highlighter palette. She's repackaged these where you can buy them individually. So I didn't buy any of the highlighters because I already have the highlighter palette, and I really do like this highlighter palette. That formula is very beautiful, but it's metallic. It actually reminds me of the metallic strobe highlighter from Hourglass. I don't know if you guys ever picked up this limited edition palette. It might still be available on the Hourglass website, but this is very metallic and very blinding. So you have to love highlighters in order to wear this because it's blinding. So this is the Hourglass and this is the Jaclyn Hill. So they're almost identical. Almost identical. This is the shade Sparks from Jaclyn Hill, and I'm actually wearing the highlighter right now, and it's really beautiful, but you definitely have to like highlighters in order to buy these. During that time, she also launched the luminous powders, and I have 2 of them. I have the shades Carrots and Brighten Up, and these I don't really use that much because they're a little bit too much for me. They're a beautiful powder because it's kind of a powder with some luminosity to it, so it's not as strong as some of the, like a traditional highlighter would. This is almost similar to maybe like a finishing powder, like for example the this powder, the luminous powders from Hourglass. This is the ambient lighting palette that has all of the different shades, and I just wear them all together. But this powder is very beautiful in a very soft way, so it's kind of like you got some sparkle mixed in with like a translucent setting powder. In fact, I also have the smaller highlighters, but I don't know where they're at. I have looked my entire collection. I have no idea what I did with them. I did a full review on them, so if I still have that video up, I'll link it down in the description box, but don't judge because it's a very old video and it's been a journey. So don't judge me. But I liked these, but I obviously didn't use them because they were a little bit too much. They are very, very blinding. And I don't like powder blinding highlights. I prefer the pressed. So that's the reason why I've used this highlighter palette more than I have the powder, and probably why I can't find them. So those are, you know, highlighters for the high points of the face. If you like a loose beaming highlighter, then you will probably love those. For me, I never felt like I had full control over using a powder beaming highlighter. That's just a preference. And so that's the reason why I can't find them, because I just don't use them. They're beautiful, but I just don't use them. So that's the 411 on us, you guys. Let's go ahead and jump into the application of these blush and bronzer duos on my skin tone. And then we will get into the swatches and comparisons. And then I will jump into my final thoughts. So I will see you guys then. Let's go ahead and jump into these duos from Jaclyn Cosmetics. So like I mentioned in the intro, I picked these up in 3 shades. These are the boxes, which I like how it shows kind of the color and the names on the top of the box. But this is the box, and this is bigger than I thought they were going to be. So they just look so much bigger in person than they look in the images, which is a good thing. So this is the box. It's a really pretty rose gold. Let me show you what it looks like next to a Tom Ford palette. So this is the Tom Ford palette, and it's bigger than an actual Tom Ford eyeshadow palette. So it's a pretty big palette. I just wasn't expecting it to be that big. But I prefer my bronzers to have a warm undertone. So I like my contour to be a little bit more on the cooler side, and then I like my bronzers to be warmer. Let's first start with the Warm Flush and Golden Goddess. Now these are very smooth and like a baked formula. Like they're very, very buttery. You can already tell that Golden Goddess is definitely not going to be dark enough as a bronzer, but I want to see what it'll look like anyway, so we're just going to try it. So this one is Golden Goddess, and let's put that right here. You know, this is for light to light medium skin, so this one's definitely not gonna work for my skin tone as a bronzer. I'd have to build that up quite a bit in order for it to show up on my skin tone. Let's go into the blush. Just stick it like right here. Okay, the formula is so soft on this, like so soft. And that's really pretty. And I really like the way that that applied. I'm going to kind of go over top of it with my sponge just to kind of diffuse it a little bit, because I am going to go in with these others. So let's move on to this one, which is the Sunkissed and Bronze Moment. Let's go into Bronze Moment. That is a pretty bronzer. Such a soft, smooth formula. Really like that bronzer. I've applied it 3 times. It's not muddy. It's very smooth, very even, and it blends right into the skin. And I think it's a really pretty bronzer. Very, very smooth formula. I really, really like the formula on this. So far, this is great. I'll wipe off my blush brush and let's grab the shade Sunkissed. Whew, she is pigmented. So smooth. So far, Very impressed with the formula. Then finally we have this one, which is the Stay Rosy, and this is for medium to tan with warm undertones. So this, I think, is going to be the palette that I will probably use the most because I prefer a warm bronzer, and this blush looks really pretty. I'm gonna pick some up here with this is called the Sculpt One from Sonia G. So I want to make this perfectly clear. My skin is peeling. This right here that you can see is not the bronzer. This is my skin peeling. If you guys have been watching my recent videos, you know that I have been testing a ton of different self-tanners to create a video for all about self-tanners, possibly uploading the end of this month. So I used a self-tanner that was for the face, and I bought it from Sephora, and I put it on night before last, woke up yesterday and was like wearing a mask and, you know, stuff like that as I was running errands. And all of this like peeled off, like all my skin is already like peeling off. And this is the skin peeling. So I want to make that clear. It's not the bronzer. You can see right here, my skin is peeling. So you can see it starting to peel here. But even with my skin peeling, this actually blended beautifully. I'm going to switch brushes and kind of go like this. But this is a beautiful bronzer. I'm going to wipe off the blush brush and let's go into Stay Rosy. So I'm going to grab some right here. Oh, that is such a pretty blush. Okay, so I went ahead and powdered and put some setting spray on. I'm very impressed with this formula. It blends right into the skin, both of them, the bronzer and the blushes. It's just a very soft baked formula, and I am very, very surprised by these. I want to go ahead and put them on the eyelid. I feel like you can really get to know a bronzer and a blush formula when you put them on the eye. I feel like is the true test, because then you're intentionally trying to build it and build that color and depth in the crease, and you're wanting to see how much you can build it, and you don't really want to build that much dimension on the face. So I want to try these on the eyes, see how they blend into the eye. So let's go ahead and jump straight into that right now. So I went ahead and grabbed my highlighter palette from Jaclyn Cosmetics. These are really, really beautiful, which you heard me talk about them in the intro. So I will kind of incorporate these into the look, and I'll also use this as a highlighter. So let's do the highlighter now. My favorite shade for highlighter in this palette is this one right here. This one just looks really beautiful on my skin tone. It's kind of more of like a peachy champagne shade. So I'm going to apply that right here. You can see it's very soft and just blends right into the skin. You don't want to overdo it with these because these are very strong. Let's see if we can get Golden Goddess to kind of come up into the crease. I don't know that we will be able to because it's a lighter bronzer. It may not show up, but let's try it. Let's see what it looks like. Barely showing up. Okay. I didn't think it would. So I'm going to go into Moment. Moment is the one that is for medium with neutral undertone. Let's go into Yummy Toffee and just kind of build up this outer corner. Oh yeah, you can see that it built it right up. I'm going to kind of place the color down. Then just kind of take my brush and blend it out. My dog is having a nightmare. Poor kid. Let's grab some of the blush. Because I'm a peachy girl, I want to grab this blush, which is Warm Flush. I'm going to go into Yummy Toffee, and I am going to kind of build this up here on the outer corner just a little bit. Not a lot, but just to kind of give a little bit of dimension and kind of blend all of that together. I'm going to grab that same color I used on my high points of my face. I'm going to grab the shade Mesmerized, this one right here. Let's put that right there on the inner corner. I'm going to take that shade and bring it right up here on the brow bone and kind of highlight the brow bone. So I am back, and this is the final look. I went ahead and threw on some lashes because I was kind of in the mood. I've been in the mood lately. Sometimes I wear lashes and other times I don't, so it just depends. But I think this is just a very natural kind of everyday look. That's how it always is when you use your bronzers and blushes in your eyeshadow, and I think it complements the face really well. So this is it. This is the final look. Let's go ahead and jump into the swatches, and I will also include some comparisons of other bronzers and blushes in my collection that might be close to these shades. And then, of course, I will jump into my final thoughts. So I will see you guys then. Okay, so now that we've made it through the swatches and comparisons, which I hope those images were helpful for you, let me go ahead and get into my final thoughts. I don't think this is going to be a surprise. I really like these. This is a really good formula. For me personally, the Stay Rosy and the Yummy Toffee, this is my palette. It has a warm bronzer. The blush is really beautiful. This is my palette, perfect for my skin tone. Bronze Moment, which is like the one with the medium with like the neutral undertone. This one shows up on my skin tone fine. I just don't like the neutral undertone. Sometimes that neutral undertone will kind of turn gray on my warm skin. That's why I always prefer a cool contour and a warm bronzer. And then, of course, this palette, which is the Golden Goddess bronzer, this one just doesn't really show up on my skin tone. So if you're my skin tone, this probably will not work for you. And I just kind of don't see the purpose of it. You could probably build it, but I just don't really think you're going to be able to build it deep enough to really show up and give you that real pretty bronze. So if you're my skin tone, I would definitely recommend either the Bronze Moment or the Yummy Toffee, just depending on what undertone that you want. And I also don't think that you need more than one palette, because the blushes are very similar in shade. Yes, they swatch differently, so they are different, but once you put them on the skin, they don't look that different. I would just get one palette that works for your skin tone and call it a day. But this formula is really beautiful. It's baked, and that was the reason why I wanted to swatch it next to the Hourglass blushes that I have, because the Hourglass is also kind of like a baked formula. And these are actually more pigmented than the Hourglass. They're very beautiful, beautiful blushes. The only negative I would say is this palette, which is the Warm Flush and Golden Goddess. If you're a medium skin, I wouldn't buy this. I would only buy this palette if you're light medium. Medium, I just don't think this palette's gonna work for you. The blush will, of course, but not the bronzer. I think the bronzer just won't work for medium skin. So if you're medium skin and you were thinking about getting Golden Goddess as the bronzer, I would go darker. I would. But that's the only thing negative I can think in my mind. These are really beautiful, and the packaging's beautiful, the formula is beautiful, and they're very soft and very pigmented. But they blend out really easily on the skin, and I really like these. I really like these. I will also say that it is somewhat similar to the LYS Beauty. I love these bronzers. They are so beautiful. But I feel like the LYS Beauty is a little bit more on the powdery side, like a normal powder bronzer. This formula is very baked and dense and creamier. So even though this is super creamy for being a powder formula, I think that's what I loved about the LYS bronzer, is that even though it was a powder formula, it applied very creamy and very pretty. But these are actually, I think, even more creamier. So she did a great job on this formula. I am really, really impressed. And I'm not surprised because she has a lot of knowledge about makeup and what works and what doesn't. So I'm not necessarily surprised that these are this beautiful. But my only recommendation is you just don't need more than one palette. I would just buy one palette and call it a day. And actually, they're pretty decent price for what you get. Getting the blush and the bronzer, they're made in Italy. They're a baked formula, very similar to the Hourglass formulas. And overall, I don't have anything negative to say. So those are my overall thoughts about these blush and bronzer duos. Sound out down below in the comment section. Did you guys buy these, and are you loving them, or are you not liking them? Let us know in the comments down below. Like I've always said, your opinion matters just as much as anybody else's coming on behind a camera and sharing their experience. Your opinion is just as helpful. So definitely sound off down below in the comment section and tell us your thoughts. Are you loving them? Are you not? I want to know. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with me in today's video. I hope you guys all have a wonderful day, and I will see you all in my next video. Love you. Bye.